So just super quick background and then we'll get right into it. But I'm Pablo. I helped start 161. When I was a student at University of Florida, I was trying to build my first company and I didn't know what I was doing. So go Gators. We have a Gator in there. Yeah, let's go. That's right, Greg. So yeah, we started hosting events, helping founders get connected, bringing in speakers. We were trying to learn ourselves, build our network. That turned into a pretty robust community. And then we actually ended up launching an accelerator in 2020 because the pandemic forced us to cancel all the events. So in 2 years, we helped 40 companies raise $13 million. One of them got acquired. One of the companies in our program actually failed, and the founder's next company was Cognition Labs, now worth like over 20 billion. One of the companies last year did $500 million revenue. It's called Rise Superfoods. They mushroom coffee. And then one of them got bought by DraftKings for 200 million last year. So while this is all happening, me and my co-founder were looking at each other and we were like, hey, how do we get equity in these deals? Because we were doing this for free. And the whole pitch was like, hey, join our accelerator. We're going to hustle for you. And so we went to the VCs that were investing in our companies and we said, hey, can you guys give us a scout fee for the deals that we source for you? And they all said no. So we're like, all right, we're finding the deals. We're helping them. We're introducing them to investors. Why don't we just do this ourselves? So we literally sold our cars and we launched our own fund. Ended up raising 4.5 million. The same month that we launched the fund, I moved to Seattle serendipitously. My ex-girlfriend was a travel nurse and I ended up here. And then I realized Seattle was the cloud capital of the world, #2 for engineering talent, and not even top 5 for VC funding. And so we've actually done 6 deals here in Seattle. We've raised money from some amazing people here in Seattle. And I'm so bullish on Seattle as an ecosystem. I think it's the #1 most overlooked startup ecosystem in the country. So excited to spend more time here, and I come, every summer. So yeah, we'll be doing a lot of stuff throughout the summer. We'll be hosting more. Excited to see you guys around. In order to keep the program moving, I would love to call up. We do a lot of events. It's incredibly difficult, as you guys can imagine. It takes a lot of resources, but also a lot of bandwidth. And we could not do what we do without support of Fenwick and West, who is one of our biggest partners. Give it up for Fenwick. And then I want to follow up my good friend that, every day I strive to get stronger and stronger. I do a lot of powerlifting, but I will never get as strong as him no matter how much I try. So I want to call my good friend Ryan McRobert, partner at Fenwick and West, to say a couple of words.
They get a comment.
Will.
I hate you so much right now.
My bodyguard.
Thank you all for coming. Wow, there are more people than I thought. I just realized that. Thank you all for coming. Pablo and I go back to when I was first becoming a partner at Fenwick and he was first in Seattle. And we kind of went out to lunch. We decided we're going to attack this together. And it's, for the most part, been a good relationship, except for things like that. But thank you. So always happy to partner for events, always happy to support 161, always happy to support Fenwick. It's been a great relationship. So Fenwick is, really quick, a Silicon Valley firm, one of the native Silicon Valley firms, incorporated Apple back in the 70s. Famously were offered equity of Apple for incorporation and said, no, we need cash. I'm sure the firm wouldn't be here anymore if we got a bunch of Apple equity in formation, but it's a good story to tell. I'm a partner in the startup group. I'm a Washington native. I'm in Seattle. I've been in Seattle for my entire career. Very invested in the ecosystem here. So any way that I can be part of the journey of any founders, I'm really excited to do that. We're going to have an amazing panel up here. I see some clients in the audience, clients on the panel. So really excited to have everybody. Let's get it started.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate all your support. And then 2 quick things before we get started. #1, please be respectful of our speakers. They're incredibly busy people building companies, and they're just here, sharing their knowledge and insights. So during the panel, please do not talk. If you want to talk, try to go down there. And then #2, what I have found makes these events super valuable. Everybody's here with a particular agenda, right? You want to meet an investor, you want to meet a customer. But if you flip that for a second and you say, hey, how can I bring value to somebody else in this room, right? That makes it so much more valuable for everybody here. So try to go up to somebody after the session and no agenda other than learn about what they're focused on, what they're looking for, and how you can help. And I think that's going to be, better for everybody here. I want to introduce one of my really good friends that I met on my first time ever coming to Seattle. And, you know, we do a lot of events together. He's been super supportive over the years. So I want to call Ken from InnoData.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, so happy to be here. Ken Morimoto. I also run Leading Edge Ventures. I do a lot of co-investing with Pablo. We're a micro seed fund investing in AI infra and AI native companies. So we write anywhere from 25 to 500K checks. So, you know, please, if you guys are raising, we'd love to talk. I'm also operator of InnoData that pays for my expensive hobby. InnoData, we're a public traded company. We do like a lot of the pre-training, post-training for all the foundation labs, you know, Microsoft, Meta, Google, OpenAI, Amazon Nova, and many others. So thanks to InnoData for also sponsoring. But so we have a very special speaker tonight. Nico Strom. He's one of the pioneers and helped turn conversational AI from science fiction into everyday reality. As a former distinguished scientist and vice president at Amazon AGI, he was a founding member of the team behind Alexa and Echo, products that define an entire category and reshaped how millions interact with technology. Over a 36-year career, spanning the early stages of speech recognition to today's foundation models, Nico has consistently been a frontier of AI innovation, including leadership in Amazon Nova, which is the foundation models that they're building. He holds over 50 patents, has thousands of academic citations, was named Business 100, Business Insider's AI 100. He was early research at KTH and MIT, spent time at Tellme, Microsoft, and Nico hasn't just witnessed the evolution of AI, he helped shape it. So please, warm welcome to Nico Strom.
For the people in the back, we have more seats here in the front. You guys would like to come up. And you guys will get chosen for questions first.
So Nico, you had such a legendary career. I'd love to hear from the very beginning. You know, where were you born? What do your parents do? Just start from the beginning and you know, tell us about your incredible journey
Oh, yeah, thank you.
and lessons learned. And
There's just one thing I need to get out of the way first. That's my old badge picture from Amazon. I don't know how you got that. I like that my head is much bigger than yours, but
that's actually an old Amazon picture too in 2015. So that's 10 years old, 11 years old.
and then also this was supposed to be a fireside chat. I don't know. But
Yeah, there's a fire somewhere.
anyway, what was the question?
So tell me from the very beginning, you know, your life, like where were you born? You know, what do your parents do? It's always interesting to see how, you know, who shaped your, you know, early days.
I grew up in Sweden. I was born in Stockholm. My parents, they met at art school, actually. They were art students. And then my father got a job at a glass works in the south of Sweden. For a couple of years, he designed glass. I was too young to know that then. But after that, that glassworks got shut down, and then he had to figure out what to do. So he started his own company. This time designing light fixtures, lamps. And so this was a startup too, kind of. There was no VC money. There's no big exit, but it was his company, and so I was part of that. He put food on the table for us over all those years, running his own company. At one point, I think he had to put our house on the line for the line of credit for the business and so on. So I know a little bit about the hardship that it can be to run your own business when it's not like as nice as getting millions of dollars of venture funding. Anyway, so I grew up there. I got my education in Sweden, and then I moved to the U.S. in '98.
And that's with MIT.
Right. So I got a PhD in Stockholm, and then I had a couple years working at MIT on a postdoc. And after that, I joined a company called Tell Me Networks. That's a very special company, actually. I met a lot of people there that I still respect and know, and it has been very important for my career.
And that was actually your first job after your MIT. So you guys know with Tell Me Networks. Tell Me Networks, legendary founding team. They're back. They sold to Microsoft for $800 million. They raised a couple $100 million. Brad Porter is iconic. Emil Michaels, Mark McHugh, just the Tell Me Mafia is what they're referred to. Hadi Petrovi, he's also a founding. If you guys know Neo, so legendary group.
So Tell Me Networks was eventually acquired by Microsoft, and that's when I moved up here to Seattle. Some years later, something happened that changed my life, which was someone out of the blue called from Amazon. So I was an expert in automatic speech recognition. That's what I had been doing all my career. Right? That's the only thing I knew. And then this guy from Amazon that I didn't know, he said he wanted to hire me, but he wouldn't tell me what it was for. And I had a pretty narrow scope myself, so I really tried to understand what it was, but he wouldn't tell me. I would say, I only know speech recognition. Are you sure you want to hire me? And eventually, I kind of knew that it was time for me to try something bigger, but so I took a chance. And that's when I started working on what would become Amazon Echo and the Alexa system. And of course, that changed my career.
And then tell me about the with the LLM hitting in 2022 that changed the world, and working on Nova models as well.
Let me tell you about what happened before that, though. Sure. When I joined Amazon, that was before LLMs, but there was something else big going on in machine learning, which was called deep learning. That was the first time neural networks started to really work in multiple layers with much more complex representations. And that changed speech recognition a lot. It made speech recognition and computer vision and all those kind of disciplines much better just over a few years, around 2010, 2011-ish. And actually, if that hadn't happened, I don't think we would have launched Amazon Echo. Because Amazon Echo, what was new about that was, if you remember, before that, there were no systems that could do what we call far field recognition, which means the device is here and someone over there in the audience could speak to it. That there were no products like that, and because that's a much harder task than speaking into a microphone like this. If you would hear what the actual audio sounds like in that we record in the microphones in Echo, you would understand, because it's hardly recognizable even for people. So that was deep learning happened. Some years later, LLMs came into the scene, and what was new about that was they also used deep learning, but it was a way to work with symbols, text. We could do machine translation, and of course language modeling, and that was new, and that of course revolutionized everything after that.
It's interesting, like the deep learning, like Hinton, right, is the one that sort of took his research paper from Toronto, and there was that bidding war. I don't know if you heard about this silent auction, Google, Microsoft, and Tencent, and Google won that silent auction. It's a pretty fascinating story, but changed AI as we know it.
Yeah, that was over my pay grade at the time, but I was working at Microsoft, and Hinton actually came to Microsoft, the lab as well, and helped them out. And so I guess even if they didn't win the auction, they got something out of it. So Hinton was actually, so when I did my PhD back in about 150 years ago, Hinton was already famous. I was working on neural network. This is a story that you'll hear from a lot of folks in my generation. We worked on neural networks in the 1990s, and then it sort of died down. But people like Hinton kept going, and then eventually they figured it out some 20 years later. And then everyone wanted to start working on it again, and me too. So that's I'm not unique in that story, but it's funny.
And tell us about this, just how the world changed in 2022 with OpenAI and how you just almost had a pivot in terms of the way of thinking and architecture for and thinking of AI.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Alexa at the time was working really well for the Echo devices, and our problem was that we had millions of customers, and they liked it so much they used it all the time. And back then, if we would have used LLMs to service all those requests from all those customers, it would have broken the bank. So
Yeah.
that made it really hard for us to go fast, unfortunately. We were always working on LLMs, but companies that work on text, it's much easier. So it all started with text, right? Now LLMs can, be multimodal, but back then it started with text, and there's only one token or a few a few letters per token. Whereas with audio and with far field, where we have 8 microphones, let's say, the bandwidth that would go into the network is much more expensive. So for us, we were in kind of a bind. We always knew this was changing everything, and we used LLM on top of the speech recognition. But it did change everything, and today, of course, you probably heard about Alexa Plus and so on, and everything is based on transformer models and LLMs.
So I'm going to go into some questions. So since you're a voice expert, Andrew Ng says that voice is going to be the UI of the future. Especially if robotics and humanoids happen, and my friends love whisper flow. So what do you think is the gap to make voice as the standard interface for the current Gen AI or robotics that's happening?
Yeah, WhisperFlow is great at transcribing exactly what you're saying, and you can use it for all the tools. Instead of typing, you can use WhisperFlow. And so we've come a long way there, for sure. That's the speech recognition part of the problem. The gap might be, in linguistics, there's a hard problem called grounding, which means if I say the word cat, the system might recognize cat very well, but what is that in the real world? Like in the system, that's a word that's probably represented in a table like a number, right? But it's not something in the real world. And with LLMs, you can do things like, you can say, well, a cat is a mammal. It has paws. It has whiskers. The eyes have kind of vertical slots rather than being round and things like that. You can say all that. And then you know a little bit more about a cat. But the problem is now you have a whole bunch of other words that are also not grounded, right? So they're still not in the real world. And LLMs have a lot of these representations that link all the words and very cleverly, so they all internally, it's a very intricate system. But how is it connected to the real world? And that, I think, is a gap. So you can say all these things, but for a robot, what does it mean? Like, if a robot is out in the real world, what does it mean if you say cat? It wouldn't know, right? Is that a mammal over there? I don't know. So that, I think, is part of the challenge that people are trying now to attack with what they call world models, right? So that's one part of it. The other part is that speech is not great for everything, right? It's great for input, it's it's not always great for presenting data, right? It's kind of awkward to read a table out loud, right? For example, so speech is just one of the modalities. I think it's becoming more and more important, but it's not never going to be everything.
Got it. So we live in unprecedented times with AI that's causing unease for the future. The younger generation, college grads. What is your advice to the audience who are mostly AI builders, founders, to navigate and embrace AI to succeed? What advice would you give to your children or your 22-year-old self in this crazy times?
22-year-old self. That's yeah.
Or 30-year self, 30 or 40?
I don't know. Also about 80 years ago, but I remember it. Yeah. So for one thing, so first of all, there's some billionaires out there that are saying it's going to be fine. All technological revolutions like this, you see there's more jobs coming out on the other side than there were before, right? And people have more wealth. And so
Jarvis paradox or something.
yeah, so that's probably true, but it's not true for individuals, right? So I think your question is about individuals, and that's harder. And the standard advice is you have to be agile, you have to keep educated, you have to know what the latest thing is. I think specifically right now, there's a lot of opportunity for creating small companies because you could build, you can build a software part of small companies so easily using coding agents. So I heard a story recently about someone taking an Uber, and the driver said, I'm just driving in the day. At night, I'm coding, and I'm going to build my own little company. And it wasn't like a venture-funded big company. Many companies are small, and it can be you can have a livelihood from them too. So that's one thing that you can do. You guys are thinking bigger than that, probably. So maybe that's what the question is about. And that is harder.
Which actually brings me to the following question. So I had a chance to reach out to your former colleagues. One is Hamilton Yu. He's actually a friend of mine for 15 years. He's the founder of Nexus Tech, Taos, so the IBM, former VP of Nuance, Tell Me Mafia member as well. You work closely with them. And I was like, any stories? And he just said that Nico is super smart and mad scientist. If there was a hard problem to crack, we send it to him to solve. But then I reached out to Brad Porter. So if you guys know Brad Porter, he's also a legend. He was a former Netscape Tell Me founder, VP of robotics, distinguished engineer for Amazon, CTO of Scale AI, where I worked with him, and then now founder of Cobot. And here's what he had to say. So two things immediately come to mind with Nico. First, Nico did his PhD research in neural nets for speech recognition during the period when neural nets were out of favor. And at Tell Me, he pushed us to develop a neural net-based acoustic model way ahead of anyone else. That was 2001. I don't think neural nets acoustic models finally caught up until maybe 2016. So Nico was way ahead of the curve. I also remember talking to Nico, and he showed me this paper that said performance gets better with ever more and more data. This was a surprising result for the whole community. Nico immediately picked up on the implications and pointed me at that paper. That immediately pivoted how I was thinking at Amazon and others as well. The paper is the same and really encouraged OpenAI to just keep throwing more and more data at it. And then that's what had me excited about potentially for Scale AI. So Scale AI, he joined CTO. He joined at around under $1 billion valuation, sold to Meta for $30 billion. So he owes you dinner for in 5 years making a nice. And he even said publicly that he did a victory dance. But that's pretty amazing testimonial.
That is amazing. So Brad does not owe me anything. Actually, one thing I wanted to say: if you're a 22-year-old You're probably not 22 here, but either way, one thing that is super important for your career, it has been for me, is to find allies like Brad. Actually, I didn't know this, but Brad was the one that referred me to the job at Amazon, and so I don't know him anything. If anything, I should buy him a dinner. What was the question? Nico is a mad scientist.
Yeah, but that's just kind of a follow-on because you solve super hard problems. How do you just? I know I do have a couple other questions. This one's kind of a fun one. It's more chill and relaxing. I always love to ask, like, what's the favorite book that you would recommend to builders and founders and investors? And I asked this to a lot of people. So Brad Porter, I asked him that question too when I was at Scale, and he recommended a children's book called Mike Mulligan and a Steam Shovel. So I bought that. It's like hard copy. It's a very inspiration. Hamilton Yu is a CEO. He liked the book Who'd Move My Cheese. And Eugenio Pace, founder of Okta, so the Okta for $8 billion. His is The Advantage, and Professor Alexei Efroy, he has over 20K citations. He said The Luck Factor, which is a very diverse, reading material that I all purchased. But what is your book that you recommend to fine tune our models?
Yeah. Clearly, everyone's different. That was a spectrum. Yeah. Everyone's different. Like Ken loves this, for example. You could do this all day, every day, right? Me, not so much. I love being here. Don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of an introvert, and so I can do this once, and then I have to recharge. So, and I think earlier in my career, if I had understood that better. Now I know what I need to do. I can deal with it. I have mitigations for being an introvert in this world. But there are lots of books written about this. So if you are, how many consider yourself introvert here? Some, yeah. So this is only for you guys. I'm only speaking to you guys. The rest of you, you can do whatever you want. But I think pick up one of those books. There's one that's very popular that's called Quiet. But right now I'm actually reading. So this is my book. It's called People Suck. It's fun. It's not as instructional as the famous Quiet book, but if you want an easy, fun read, you can try that one.
Awesome. And then a couple quick questions, like what are your hobbies and passions outside of work? And I always say, what do you spend most of your free time on that you gravitate towards?
Yeah, I have lots of free time now. I retired from Amazon last month. My wife told me that someone wise had said, when you retire, you have to have at least 3 hobbies. And so I'm not sure I'm there yet, but one of my hobbies is to, take care of myself, exercise, and I like playing squash, so I do that. And then I'm picking up woodworking. That's fun. I have a little shop in my house that I try to build things. It's mostly not very pretty yet, but working on it. The third one, I'm still working on the third one.
Interesting. That's my last question is, how can the audience or community be helpful to you in your next chapter? I know you want to say you want to be useful, but yeah, what specifically?
Well, I do want to be useful. I've retired. I don't.
Or sabbatical, right? Maybe you might come out of retirement.
Semi-retired, maybe. Yeah. So I have some free time, and I want to give back. I want to be useful. The way I think I can do this is I can be a small-time angel investor, and I can be an advisor for startups. Now, there's also a lot that I need to learn when I'm doing this. I've been working at Amazon for 14 years, and this is all new to me. So if there are any folks with a big VC or early stage fund in here that you want to take me under your wing and have me do due diligence and help out and learn the ropes, that'd be awesome. If there are founders in here that if you look at my resume and you say, oh, this guy, he would be perfect, he can help me, then I'd love to talk to you about advising and maybe a small investment.
Wow, that's amazing. So thank you so much, Nico, for your time, and please give a warm thank you to Nico. Thanks again.